Lisandro can join, and probably others too.
Yes.
What attracted you to Lisandro Alonso's way of filmmaking in the first place?
Well, I had seen, when I met him, I had seen Los Muertos, Fantasma, and Liverpool. I had not seen his first one, La Libertad, but I saw it soon after seeing him. Seeing him for the second time. We met in 2006 at the Toronto Film Festival. He was presenting what was his third movie, Fantasma, which is kind of a strange sequel to Los Muertos. And I was presenting A la Triste, a Spanish kind of epic movie that unfortunately only came out in DVD in Denmark. But I learned a lesson there, you know, because I came here to visit my family, and realizing that it never made it to the movie theaters, you know, and this was right after Lord of the Rings and all that, so it would have made sense to put it in theaters. But some distributors just think more about just making their money back or making some money, and they're not so worried about film in the way that I presume you are and the people in the audience are, would just put it in the movie theater, let people see it on the big screen. What I did at that time was something, the seed of the idea of what our JAUJA magical mystery tour was, which was, I call my festa, my aunt, Chule, in Michigan. And I said, I got a DVD, I just went to the store, I got the Danish DVD. Let's see if, at that time she was viceborgmester, vice-alcalde, vice mayor of Ringsted. So and she had her hands in the culture. She was always pushing them to put statues in the street, and you know, people there are like, why art in the street? You know, it's not. So yeah. So people are more busy with other things, farming and just whatever, smaller towns. And she was always pushing the envelope. So she said, sure, I'll see if we can get the town, how do you say it in English? The town, not the town hall, but the auditorium of the city of Ringsted to show it. So I was only there a couple of days, so we told the newspaper to put it in the day before. It fits about 1,000 people. And said, we're going to show the movie, and I'll be there to answer questions if anybody shows up. And it was full, packed, completely packed, people standing, everything, and we did a great Q&A. It was a lot of fun. And I was like, well, you know, people want to see the movie. People want to see movies, good movies. And so with JAUJA, that's why we decided to do it our own way. And I must say that I'm really happy and honored to be in this one of the best cinemateks in the world, really, to be here, and that finally, in the end, all's well that ends well, we got to show JAUJA on a screen in a movie theater in connection with the Danish Film Institute, after all. So I'm happy with that.
This is the wonderful kind of Q&A where you can ask questions in pretty much any language. Because Lisandro speaks Spanish and English, Viilbjørk speaks Danish and English, and Viggo speaks all three. So he can definitely translate if anybody comes short. So, if any of you have a question or a comment on the film or Lisandro's other films...
Yeah, and I'm sorry, and actually I prefer if you can talk it straight in Danish. I enjoy to listen to your languages. No, I'm not joking, I'm seriously. So it's going to be fluently and it's going to be better. I mean, just go.
It's so nice to hear, Lisandro, but how many others here don't understand Danish? Please raise your hand.
I'm right.
That's fine. He's the only one.
I'm leaving it.
You're speaking like a true anthropologist.
Yeah, I will understand anyways. I like to observe. But actually, we have been around, and I really enjoy watching faces. You know, So no, seriously, I like when it's like when I go for locations and looking for characters. I don't understand some of them, or they don't even talk to me, and I feel connection. So I will really appreciate if you can talk your own languages, and I will be watching you, all of you.
Lisandro?
Just in case you want to ask it, something straight to me, we can do it in English. Okay.
Lisandro, det er med i orden. Tak.
What the fuck? Det må du nok sige.
One citizenship down. Værsgo alle sammen og byde ind. I har lige været udsat for et sansebombardement. En blanding af alt muligt. Jeg skynder mig op. Og så må I gerne lige række mikrofonen ind så hurtigt som I kan. Og så stille spørgsmål. Sådan rimelig kontant, ikke også?
It's not a question, it's more a comment to Viggo. I'm impressed about your Spanish. You speak very well Spanish, I can hear. So I was very impressed how lousy Spanish you were speaking in the film. Like, you know, you have a very authentic Danish accent in the film when you were speaking Spanish. So very impressed about it.
I loaned this accent from my father. It wasn't so hard. I just copied him. My brothers and I, always since we were little kids, you know, since we were initially brought up in Argentina, we were like Argentine kids. And every time when our father spoke Spanish, we thought it was really funny, especially when he got annoyed, you know, because he didn't think people understood, or they didn't show up on time, or the things that, you know, a Danish farmer / businessman would expect. That doesn't necessarily happen in the same way in Argentina. Then his voice would get a little more agitated, and then the accent was even stronger. We always thought it was really hilarious. So ever since, when my brothers and I are together, even now, and we talk together, we end up slipping into his accent, and all three of us are doing his accent all the time. So it was it wasn't such a leap. It was fun to do.
I would like to open with a question to you, Lisandro, because it's about the film's basic concept. The title, JAUJA, is explained early on in the titles. But could you elaborate a little on what you know about JAUJA, and tell us how much of it is your own invention and how much is actually myth?
Well, actually, if I had to be honest, since we were thinking about the projects, like we started about 4 or 5 years ago, I started with presenting the film and the script to the finance places, you know, institutions.
A few weeks before. Right?
Just a few weeks. So suddenly, maybe I just start getting worried about that. But so I received an email. It's a big group of people working in the film, so I didn't want to be like my decision. So I consulted everyone about what do you think about the title, whatever. So I received an email from Viggo. It's different kind of functions, and I just well, it is strange, but I didn't know anything about this JAUJA place. It's a city based in Peru, and what the legend, what it means, and he knows even better than I. And so I decided that it was a kind of title that it doesn't mean something precise, anything, but it brings you to some place which sounds like exotic, or like you know, indigenous, or you know, from this place indigenous yeah. From this place of the world, you know. And because the text, I didn't make it. I think he made it with Fabian. I didn't write it. So, but it's say it about all these Spanish guys. You want to say it?
Sure. JAUJA is it's actually an Arabic word, and it's the name of that the Arabs, when they were the North Africans, when they used to own Spain, or most of it, in Andalusia, in the south, there's a town that still has that name, small town. And in Arabic, the word means like doorway, passageway, which sounded already interesting. And when the Spanish, in the 16th century, in the capital of their territory in South America, Pizarro, who was the sort of leader of the main government expedition, the Crown's expedition at the time, conquistador, he named that place. It's in a valley. It's very fertile and green valley in Peru, and then the legend that grew up around it was sort of, well, it was exaggerated by playwrights, theater people and artists in Europe, starting in Spain, and it spread to, to Holland, or painters that painted paintings describing what some of the Spanish people who had exaggerated about it. But basically, it was a propaganda tool by businessmen and by the Crown of Spain to get people to go there. If you think about the people that went from Iceland and discovered Greenland, they called it Greenland, not by error. They did it because they wanted to attract people to go to Greenland, and then they sailed there and they get there and they didn't, I don't see much green. Where is it? On the other side of the mountain? Or, no, but it's a little late. It's, the winter's coming. It's too late to sail back. You might as well stay and help me build some houses here, So it was a kind of a trick. And JAUJA was the same way, where they said that this was a place, I mean, it was exaggerated to the point where they said things like you were punished physically for working, and you were paid in gold coins for taking naps and eating second helpings and things like this, and that the streets of JAUJA were lined with sausages and hams and meat, and that sweet rolls grew in the trees, and completely crazy. But of course, there's always someone that's going to believe anything. Just look at any country's elections. It always happens, and so a certain amount of people went, thinking, oh, okay, because what had happened, obviously, is Columbus and the others going, a lot of people died, and it was a very hard journey to get there and to survive there also, so it was propaganda, basically, but we felt it was right because it was kind of like you said, something exotic, something out of reach. It was a dream, like something perfectly easy life, something, happiness, basically, and what does Dinesen lose at the beginning of the movie? Happiness. He realizes when you're gone that he's lost the thing that he cares the most about, and he becomes increasingly desperate. It becomes his only focus is finding her, and as you're looking, you're becoming more desperate, you're regretting more, like any parent would, I suppose, in that situation. I should have talked to her more, I should have listened to her. When she showed me this wooden soldier, I shouldn't have sent her away. I said, oh, how nice, that's very nice. Well, come on, why don't you join us? All these regrets, we always have them, even if you're really a good friend or a good parent or a good companion. You can never be a perfect parent or a perfect friend. You can never make a perfect movie. But Lisandro, I think, got quite close, It's the idea, even if you know you're going to die, you still want to read books and see movies, unless you're suicidal, which I understand. You think, well, I'm going to die, why do I want to even brush my teeth? What's the point? I understand, but by trying to make the perfect movie, you can end up making a very good one, So that's the idea, something that's just out of reach.
Lisandro, how does this explanation or research ring in your head? Because I know you're a quite intuitive filmmaker. You don't do too much research. How do you two complement each other, or do you simply see some things differently, or are you by chance totally in agreement?
Well, research, it has its different aspect, I travel a lot. I mean, for me, locations are like a molecular character. So I like to travel alone or with someone else and see different places and nature and wherever. And I have been here looking for different castles, like for a couple of weeks or something. But then I travel more like 6,000 kilometers inside my place in Patagonia. So I like to travel alone, basically. That's a good process for me to think about everything. But I think most of in this film, in terms of this kind of, if we can call it some kind of poem or something, whatever, it comes from, probably not from me, it came from the other writer, Fabian Casas, which is a great poet. He doesn't need to do a lot of research because he reads too many books. So I was just a pupil, you know. So, but the main thing, I'm saying this everywhere, but the whole thing, to my mind, it comes from. I used to have a friend who, she was from Slovenia and she get in love with some other guy from Philippines, and suddenly she was following her feelings about him, and they traveled together to Manila. And one day I received an email like,